This video is on Logic's Adif import and export features. Let me toot my own horn here a little bit if you don't mind. Ray WF1B and myself developed Adif, came up with the idea and came up with specifications for it, and I presented it at Dayton sometime in the 90s. I don't know, it's been forever now, but Adif stands for Amateur Data Interchange Format. We designed it to allow exchange of data between different logging programs. Ray did a great RIDI program, and Logic didn't do RIDI at the time, so it's for our customers and anyone else who wanted to join the marketplace and share customers and potentially increase the market share for products for all of us. It's also been used by Logbook of the World, EQSL, and ClubLog GQSL. If you want to send data, QSO data to other programs, Adif is the way to do it. Okay, I'll put on my humble hat again. Let's export Logic's data to let's walk through exporting it to a file. First, though, let me say that exporting and importing from Logbook of the World and EQSL, you're pretty much isolated from the Adif part of that. There are a few options that pop up on the screen, and we will see those screens in our manual export demonstration here. But for the most part, you don't have to concern yourself with Adif. It's all under the hood. Okay, so let's go ahead and let's export our data to Adif. Go to Tools, Export Log Data, and I choose XML, Adif, and so forth. Okay, it's going to export my log file, and let's say that I want to, if I just click OK, it exports the entire log, but I just want to do everything since, let's say, January 1. Go down to the QSL sent date, or QSO date, I'm sorry, the QSO date is going to be greater than or equal to, or in other words, on or after 01/01/17, okay? The format of the date's going to depend on your setup of Logic, and in most cases it just inherits whatever you have on your computer. So in this case, this is the month and this is the day. If I were put in 31 like I would if I were in Europe or most of the rest of the world, it's going to complain, okay, and tells me the proper date to put it in. Okay, say okay. Gives me my select criteria and expression here. And then it comes up and with a dialog that lets me choose where to save my I could change the file name. Also, if I wanted to export to comma delimited or tab delimited or any of the other formats that Logic supports, I can select those here. But for now, I'll just use Adif, okay? I'll say save. It already exists. Okay, I say yes. Now, this screen is the same screen you will see if you've done Logbook of the World or EQSL. What you'll want to do is, for a manual conversion, probably check these two. This option here chooses whether to export only basic fields or everything. So if I select basic fields, it does call sign, QSO date, time, name QTH, just a few basic things. If that's checked, I uncheck that, it exports all of the fields, okay? Display in text editor when completed just gives me a chance to preview the data. I'll go ahead and do that. Okay, and there I go. I've got my Adif file. It's a text for the most part. Logic in the ADIF spec it supports binary data, like for instance exporting Logic's pictures or notes or addresses which have carriage returns and line feeds. This is some foreign gentleman's log I was working on, so he has the extended characters in here under the QTH for this. But for the most part, you can just read it in any notepad, and you can search online if you want the ADIF specifications. But it's pretty self-explanatory. You have the field name, the length of the field, the type. So here we have a date. It's 8 characters long. This one's a call sign. There's no type specification, so that means it's character. Okay, I'll close that. It tells me where the data is, okay. I go ahead and I close that. I can go to my documents folder, and there's the file I just made. You can open that with Notepad. I think I have ADI associated with my Notepad. Windows Notepad works fine. This is Notepad++, just a little bit more advanced Notepad. Open with, and you can, here I could open it with Notepad if I wanted to. It's just a text file. Okay. To import data, do basically the same thing. Import log data. I want to choose ADIF. Go to Documents. There it is. Lets me put in the power and the contest ID if I want to. Mostly for importing contest data from N1MM and whatnot. Say OK. See, I've got dots moving across the import screen here. And here I get to see the data, kind of how it's going to look in Logic. There are some of those, extended character sets. But anyway, it looks pretty good. I'm going to close that. Ask if I want to import the data into Logic's log file. Okay, I'm exported it, and now I'm importing the same data in again. What's going to happen? I'm going to have duplicate QSOs when I get done. Okay, some of them will be duplicates. I went ahead and did that on purpose because I know if I don't, I'm going to get questions about that, so I'll just cover it now. So to get rid of duplicates, I go to Tools and Miscellaneous Utilities. I look for Delete Duplicate QSOs. Okay, it says, okay, I have a backup fine. I tell it, yes, I want to proceed. Ignore the seconds and time on. I'll say no here. It's like if you're importing, the reason when you would say yes here is if you had data in your log that had seconds, but you were importing some other data that didn't have seconds, you would want to ignore that. It uses the time to see if the date and time to see if the QSO is really a duplicate or not. So I'll just press enter there. Okay. And it tells me that it deleted 137 duplicates. That was how many that got exported when I did my export. Okay, let's take a look at Logic's ADIF-related configuration and setup features and options. Let's go to Tools and Setup and Log Fields. Let me move that over so you can see that. Okay, this is a list of all of my log fields that are in Logic. Some of them are user-defined, some of them are factory. And of particular interest is the ADIF tab over here, okay? For each field, you get to choose whether it gets imported or exported by ADIF. So if I were to export, I didn't want to export ADIF, I would just uncheck that. It would never export until I came back here and checked it. Same with import. It's not going to get imported unless this is checked. If I have an ADIF file with 1010 in it, but I don't want to import it, I can just uncheck that. of particular interest is the Adif name. You can map any field name in Logic to any name in Adif. So the Adif specification calls for 10_10. Okay, and we call it 1010 £. So that is that's how that happens. So for instance, if you get an Adif file and something isn't importing, the first thing you do is go look at your Adif file in Notepad or any text editor and see if the data's. Let me go pull up an Adif file here. I look through here and see if the file I'm trying to import actually exists. Say if I'm looking for Amateur Radio Lighthouse, example I had on my screen. Okay, I can search for that. Maybe search for other things that could also be for the other field names that people could use for it. But you look through here, it's if the field doesn't appear in the data, of course Logic's not going to import it, and you have to go back, do your export again, or find out, get it exported some way. Okay. Another reason it may not export is, or reason it may not import, is that the field name is different. So like Logic uses operator, and this program used station call sign. So I go here, this is probably already set up. It is not, so I could put station call sign in here for the Adif name, and then it would import. Okay, remember a few minutes back we had the export screen, and there was an option, a check mark to choose whether to export basic fields or not. Okay, the basic fields are all going to be check marked here, so let's go to let's look at call. Okay, so he calls a basic field. Date, time is going to all be CIA, country code, the county. A lot of these are not imported when you by default. So to import something, import has to be checked, and the Adif name has to match what's actually in your file. Okay, let's take a look at this basic fields checkbox here. Remember earlier when we were doing the export, it asked if we wanted to export basic fields or all fields. Here you set whether a field is considered a basic field or not. So call, let's look at call here, is going to get exported. County isn't. It's up to you you get to define what's considered basic or not. If there's a field that you want to export, make sure that this is checked, or when you do the export, you don't tell it to export only the basic fields. Okay, one final thing for Logic's Adif setup. Go to Tool Setup and Modes. And there you have the actual mode that shows up in your log, the words tracking mode, and then you have an optional Adif mode over here. So if this is filled in, it will import and export. It'll export this mode instead of this. So AM narrow, I mean, it's not really a mode that you'd really get an award on, or that you'd really want to track, but some radios return that from their computer-aided transceiver interface, and that's what we log. But if you want to switch that to something that's acceptable in Adif, you just put the Adif mode in here. So BPSK, actually ARRL wants that exported as PSK 31. And here we set that conversion up. Okay, so with this information, you should be able to easily create a file for anything you want to use your log data for, and you should also be able to import almost any data that you have into Logic, even if the field names are different. As long as the data is there, Logic can you can set Logic up to import that. Thank you for watching.